Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to class. How's everyone doing today? How are you feeling? You can give me a thumbs up. You can tell me how you're doing.
All good.
Doing great, doing great.
Nice. Do you guys do anything special this past weekend?
Nothing at all.
I went golfing, that was good. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Nice, Tommy. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so today we are going to talk about Earth spheres and its interactions. So this is our second lesson in our biology unit. So in grade 8, you previously may have spoken about some sustainability and human impact on ecosystems. Last class, we also spoke about climate change and ecosystem sustainability. So today we're going to talk about Earth spheres and how they interact with each other and why they are important for ecosystem sustainability. Does anyone have any questions before I move on to the agenda? No? Okay.
So,
So the agenda for today is first, we're going to talk about Earth's four spheres. So the biosphere, atmosphere, lithosphere, and the hydrosphere. We're also going to talk about the interactions between the spheres and then why the interactions are all important. So to begin, I just want you all to pull out that worksheet that I sent you. Just follow along as I'm going through the slides. If you have any questions, let me know and I can repeat something or move back to a slide just in case you missed it. So, beginning with the four spheres, I'm first going to talk about the atmosphere, which is a thin layer of gases that surround the Earth. So, within these gases, it includes oxygen and carbon dioxide. Oxygen, as you know, we breathe in, and then the carbon dioxide is what we breathe out, but it's also just plays an important role within our atmosphere as well. The next one is the biosphere, which is the zone in, on, and around the Earth where a lot of our biodiversity lives. So, like our animals, microorganisms, different other organisms, ecosystems, like all of those. And then our lithosphere, which is the rocky outer shell of the Earth. So, this includes the mountains, ocean floor, rest of Earth's solid landscape, and basically anything that's just non-living, but it's part of the Earth's hard outer layer. And then the hydrosphere, which is the water on, above, and below the Earth's surface. So this includes our oceans, lakes, clouds, groundwater, and ice. So I have a diagram that I would like you guys to fill in. It's on your worksheet. So just take a couple minutes, fill this in. It's just based on the four spheres. They all fall in one of those spots. So just fill that in and then we'll take it up as a class. Just give me a thumbs up when you're ready to go. Are we okay? Can I move on? Okay, perfect. So on the next slide, you can see there I put them in where they all belong. At the top, we have the atmosphere, which is all things encompassing in our air and around the Earth. In the middle is the biosphere, so everything included on the Earth. Or as I said again, organisms, animals, plants, all of the above. And then on the left side is the hydrosphere. It's placed in that little section where you can see is like the ocean kind of because it is the Earth's water. And then on the right side, the lithosphere, which is the core outer layer of the Earth. So interactions within the environment. The spheres all interact with each other in multiple ways and are vital for maintaining balance in the environment. So they interact to form nutrient cycles, soil formation, climate regulation, erosion control, pollution, and energy flow. So an example would be the nutrient cycle. So plants in the biosphere absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere for photosynthesis. And then when those plants decompose, the carbon returns to the lithosphere and their nutrients travel through the hydrosphere, providing support to aquatic life. So in this cycle, they all play an important role and work together to to create this nutrient cycle. So balance of the spheres. The balance within all of the spheres are essential for the well-being of all living organisms. So they can sustain biodiversity, support human survival, and maintain ecological balance. Does anyone have any questions before I continue to the next slide? Good. Okay, nice. So disruptions. When there are disruptions to the spheres on the Earth, it can cause issues within the sustainability of ecosystems. So this can cause ecological degradation, threaten natural ecosystems and human sustainability, climate change, food insecurity, and air and water pollution. So an example of a disruption would be deforestation, which affects both the biosphere and the atmosphere. Deforestation occurs when trees or forests are removed. So this contributes to higher levels of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. And since trees absorb carbon dioxide during photosynthesis, this causes a disruption and reduces the planet's capacity to capture and store carbon. So before we end, I have a question here for you guys to answer. Just think of it in your head, and then we can take it up together. I'll give you a couple seconds to read it over and think of an answer. Okay, do you guys have an answer in mind?
I have one. So because we're talking about the ocean, lakes, and icefall, or sorry, ice, I think that all relates to kind of water, so I'm gonna say hydrosphere.
Yeah, good job, Tommy. So it is the hydrosphere. So again, ocean, lake, ice, they're all forms of water, so they fall within the hydrosphere. So next question. What is a cause of disruption of the spheres? So there's just four options there. Choose which one you think works best. Anyone have an answer?
I think it might be C, pollution.
Nice, Matt. Yeah, it is pollution. So pollution is caused when like greenhouse gases are released into the atmosphere and it just breaks down the different gases that we have that are natural occurring. Okay, so that is the end of the lesson. Does anyone have any questions before we go on to tomorrow's class? Did everyone find the worksheet okay? Nice. Peer feedback.
Nice. Nice.
That was good.
Yeah, no,
Um,
it's going well. It worked out time wise. It did work out time wise. Um, I do think like the little quiz at the end is good as well. I think it's smart to kind of like it's like an exit ticket to get them to like did they actually like absorb any of the information? Um,
yeah.
Tommy?
I agree with Matt. Like I really like the exit ticket or the quiz at the end. It kind of made me feel like, oh, I kind of learned something here. Um, and yeah, and it wasn't too complicated. It was
yeah,
kind of straight to the point. Um, yeah, I thought it went really well. Yeah, you talked at a really good pace, and it all sounded very clear.
yeah, able to follow as well. Good speed. I also
Thank
like
you.
the design of the little worksheet there, like the
Thank you.
where you had to fill in the blanks.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, good afternoon, class. How's everyone doing? Thumbs up.
Good. How are you?
Doing well, thanks, Matt. Um, so we're just gonna do a quick review of previous knowledge that we're gonna be using. And then our current class today is grade 9 biology, specifically lesson 4. And the previous knowledge that we're gonna tap into today is grade 8 science, so cells and organelles. And then we're also going to be using our grade 9 science, understanding the different spheres such as bio, litho, hydro, and the atmosphere, and their interactions. So moving on, today we're going to be talking about cellular respiration and photosynthesis. So my first kind of quick minds on from you, a little question here is, where do people slash animals get their energy from. So you can just hop into that answer garden there and throw in a few of your thoughts. I'll give you a second. Yeah, you guys might have a few in there by now. I'll go and okay, awesome. Yeah, so I'm seeing right, drinks, sun, food. Food's a big one. Okay, awesome. So you guys are kind of hitting the head on the nail here. So if I move forward, so yeah, the idea I was trying to get at you was food and drinks. So the general trend we're seeing here is that animals and humans ingest food and drinks as a source of energy, but it doesn't just stay that as food, right? Like we have to convert it into some sort of usable energy for ourselves. So this is the purpose of cellular respiration. So it's the process by which food and drinks is converted into energy in cells. So the simple equation of this is food slash sugar is converted into energy and specifically ATP. So ATP is the usable energy inside animal cells. So animals use the sugar from food, again, more specifically glucose, to create a usable energy for the cell called ATP. So we want to change these hamburgers and pizzas into a usable energy for our body. So if you follow along on your worksheet, we're going to see that we have this diagram here. I just want you to take a quick second to fill in what those molecules are at the top. And then at the table just underneath it, I want you to label which side you think is the reactants and which side you think are the products. So using the definitions at the bottom, we know that a reactant is a molecule used at the start of a reaction, and products are produced from the reaction. And then the last question on this slide is mitochondria is the location in the cell for cellular respiration. I want to see if you guys know the nickname for it, but that's okay if you don't. So just take a second there and fill in this slide. Give me a thumbs up, or if you have any questions, let me know. And I'll just, so this is the part of the worksheet we're on right here. All good? Okay, I'll move on. So if you filled it in, it should look something like this. So for our equation, we start with oxygen. And oxygen plus these foods slash sugars we eat, we'll go through a bunch of steps to produce carbon dioxide, water, and ATP energy, right? So a lot of these molecules might sound familiar to you because we talked about them during our hydrosphere, in our lithosphere, and our atmospheres, right? And so on the left side of the reaction, we have our reactants, and on the right side, we have what's produced. So the main one here is the energy that our cells are going to use. And at the very bottom, we have our nickname for the mitochondria. It's the powerhouse of the cell. So it is responsible for producing all the energy for our cells. So moving on here, I have one more minds on for you. And so this one is, what are some foods that you eat? I'll give you guys a second to discuss that. Pasta, I'm seeing pasta, I like that. Salad, pizza, okay, sandwiches, sushi, okay, that's a cool one. All right, I like it, I like it. So you guys, again, some great answers. So yeah, so there's things like salad, sandwiches, maybe even soups, pizzas. And so the general trend I'm getting at here is a lot of the foods that we eat actually come from plants. So the salad, we get from plants, sandwiches, the bread you put your sandwiches on, and the lettuce and tomatoes, plants, the pizza, all this kind of comes from plants. And even the meat that we eat eventually has energy that eventually came from plants. So the reason why I'm talking about plants so much is because plants are so important for creating our foods, or more specifically, um, our sugars. So photosynthesis is a process in which plants convert sun energy to make these sugars and glucose. So the simple equation of this is the energy or from the sun, it turns into sugar slash glucose. So plants absorb the sunlight and convert its energy into sugars using the process of photosynthesis. And basically plants become sugar stores. And so that's why they're at the base of the food chain. So moving on, I now have the next fill in the blank for your worksheet, and it looks very similar to our last one. So I want you guys to fill in this worksheet pretty much the exact same way you filled in the last one, but there might be some new elements here. I'll give you another second for that. And that's right here on our worksheet. Let me know any questions. Let me know when you're done. All done, Matt? Awesome. All done, Cap? Okay, great. So if you filled this in, so the equation here is we get our sun energy plus our carbon dioxide, which we get from our atmosphere, our water from our hydrosphere, yields the sugar and glucose and oxygen that plants release. So our reactants here are the sun, carbon dioxide, and water, and our products that are produced are the sugars and glucose that we like to eat, and the oxygen that we like to breathe. And so the last point on this slide here is the organelle that is used for photosynthesis is called chloroplast. It's that green organelle. It actually gives plants their green look. So our last and final discussion before we end today is I just want to take a look at this picture on the right. I just want to notice, or I want you to notice any similarities between photosynthesis and cellular respiration. And then on the second question, do you notice any differences? So you can write those down, or if you have them, you can say them aloud, up to you.
I noticed some of the reactants and products are the same.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, exactly. So they both, so cellular respiration uses oxygen and sugar as a reactant, but it's also what's produced during photosynthesis, right? So a lot of them are the same, and same with CO2 and water. Yeah. Do you guys notice any differences?
In photosynthesis, the sun is one of the reactants.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's the difference between the two, right? In terms of energy sources and like energy that's involved. In photosynthesis, the sun is the energy, whereas in cellular respiration, the sun isn't there anymore. We're producing an energy called ATP. Great. I think you guys kind of hit the nail on the head. So yeah, the similarities are these similar molecules, and the differences are the different energies, sun versus ATP, but also the reactions are reversed. And that's a pretty neat thing too. So that's the end. I think you guys got the gist of this, and thanks for listening. Oh, and the take-home activity here, if you guys have time, is a game that goes over cellular respiration and photosynthesis.
Nice.
Good. Good job.
Yeah, no, really well done. I like the use of visuals. Definitely like the use of visuals. I think like the alternating slides of like what the question is, what the answer is, kind of helps them follow like the path of the lesson. Well, the fact that you made
I
it.
thought and then the use of the diagrams, the worksheet, the answer gardens, they're all good different forms of feedback.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Thanks, guys.
Welcome back to grade 9 science. How are we all doing today?
I'm doing well, doing well. Thanks for asking. How about yourself?
Not bad. A little tired. Not bad though. Not bad. Glad to hear you guys are doing well. So far within our biology unit, we have covered interactions between the different spheres, so like bio, hydro, litho, and atmospheres, and why they're important to the ecosystem, and cellular respiration and photosynthesis. And we've also repeated a few things we may have covered last year in grade 8 life systems. And so for today, we will be covering climate change and human interactions within the ecosystem. So before we move on, I want you guys to bring out your devices and scan the QR code, or if you have the presentation open, to click the link to give some answers on what you may think some indicators of climate change could be. And so I'll give you guys about 30 seconds or so to get some answers going there. Let's see. Yep, cool. Melting glaciers, good. Pollution, definitely. Definitely. What else do you think? Yeah. Again, high temperatures, which would also relate to melting glaciers. Good. Okay, good, good. So when we are looking at some of these answers, you guys did touch on a few. There's a couple other ones that I noticed as well that we could definitely remember for the future would be like more extreme weather conditions. We got some changing rainfall and snowfall patterns as well. Longer droughts. I know we're not really in a climate that would experience something like that, but thinking of other climates that would, and more tropical storms as well. And so for a follow-up question, just to see what you guys already know about the topic, can we name some ways that humans have impacted these changes? So we'll go over to the next one. What do we think? Give you guys about like 30 seconds to a minute. Yep, definitely. Deforestation, for sure. For sure. Definitely a major issue. Anything else? Give another like 10, 15 seconds just to see. Yep. I would agree. Oil spills, yes, good callback as well, actually. So if we go back to the slides, when looking at a few of the answers you guys gave, there's definitely three that stuck out. If we're looking at burning fossil fuels, we're looking at deforestation, and we're looking at farming livestock. These ones, and actually somebody did already mention it as well. These ones specifically lead to increases in greenhouse gas emissions. And so what are greenhouse gases? Greenhouse gases, or GHGs, as we could refer to them as, are gases within the atmosphere that trap heat. So they can be consisted of things like carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, we got chlorofluorocarbons and hydrofluorocarbons as well. So when looking at the list of the little photo we got in the slide there, what is one you've heard of the most? What do we think? Yes, Kat.
Carbon dioxide.
Definitely. Good. So carbon dioxide production. So when looking at the graphs here on the slide, can someone name the natural sources of CO2 that are within the environment? Just looking at these little charts here. Just get one of you guys to read it out.
Is it ocean atmosphere exchange?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also seeing plant and animal respiration, soil respiration, and then I guess a small one there is volcanic eruptions.
Yeah, very, very small. Doesn't happen often, thankfully. But yeah, good. And so now when we're looking at the other graph that we have on the screen there, we're looking at the human sources of carbon dioxide, and there's one glaringly obvious factor that contributes the most to excess CO2 in the atmosphere, and that's burning fossil fuels, which I believe was answered within the Menti question as well. Don't quite remember. But moving on. So why is the excess release of carbon dioxide a problem? So not only can excess carbon dioxide increase the speed of the greenhouse effect, causing the global temperature to rise, but it can affect specific ecosystems as well. These two different forms of ecosystems that we're going to touch on today are local and global ecosystems. So when looking at local ecosystems, some supersaturated concentrations of CO2 within ponds can affect things such as wildlife and vegetation by increasing the pH balance within the pond. So this could affect wildlife such as like ducks, tadpoles, and turtles, for example. And within global ecosystems, this could affect the ocean atmosphere exchange. So it was touched on within the last graph there. So basically, the ocean atmosphere exchange is where colder and more biologically active parts of the ocean absorb carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Sorry, absorb the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and the warmer, less active parts release it back into the atmosphere. And so when looking at the supersaturated concentrations, this could mean that excess carbon dioxide doesn't get absorbed. Water temperatures would increase, which would then affect the cycle negatively. And it ends up leaving more of that CO2 in the atmosphere, which kind of helps aid in that greenhouse effect that we spoke about earlier. But before I move on, does anybody have any questions? No? All good? Perfect. Perfect. And so to look at our own sort of our own concept of the environment there, like in order to create a better environment for ourselves and our future, we want to decrease our carbon footprint. So I'm going to get you guys to bring out your devices again, and I want you guys to answer just how we can find ways to reduce what our carbon footprint could be made up of. So what are ways we can help that out? Carpooling, definitely. Yeah, good. I'm glad you guys are on the same page there. Any other thoughts besides carpooling, we think, or that's definitely one major one for sure. For sure. Less burning. Yes. Yeah. Local production rather than mass. 100%. Yeah. Good. Good. And so with all that being said, if you guys don't have any further questions, I'm going to give you guys this link. So on your own time, you can kind of enjoy a little game that was created on some of the best solutions to climate change to kind of get your own thoughts and ideas of the topic we discussed today. Yeah, thank you for listening.
That was good. It was really smooth. I liked what was it?
Mentimeter.
Mentimeter. I like that. That was cool. You could see all those responses.
I think it's like a different kind of answer garden, so I figured I'd try that out instead.
Yeah, no,
I want to
that
fully
was
copy
really
Tommy.
good. There's pardon?
So I didn't want to end up like having our slides be so identical.
Yeah, no, I thought you did really well. Like I really liked your diagrams, and I liked how you almost brought like you didn't bring numbers into it, but you brought stats. Like you showed like diagrams, like pie diagrams,
Yeah.
other stats and research, which was really good. And like you didn't go too in depth with it to make it complicated, but you just like showed that it was there, and that
Yeah.
was kind of what was important. I thought that was really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. I don't want to like overcomplicate it too much.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.